In a nutshell, I'm Swiss. I have got two children, obviously also a wife, plus a dog. In around 2003, I left Goldman Sachs, joined some former colleagues of JP Morgan, whom I worked actually at the time in Germany, and then started my first business with those guys in Frankfurt and in Zurich. I was in Zurich. We created probably the first alternative asset management in Germany. I had to do it out of Switzerland because we were managing also international money. Alternative asset management at the time, what was it? It was basically private equity and real estate. So we did real estate asset management in Germany, which some of my partners did, and I did the liquid strategies. So basically I was running a global macro fund, contrarian global macro. That means top-down approach. Where do you spot problems in the world, opportunities when it comes to trading? It was really a trading vehicle, if you like. Around 2009, we went more into, after the financial crisis, of course, where certain strategies made less sense. We went much more into hard assets. Hard assets are not only things that you can touch, but also who are obviously have a completely different financing. How you finance it is much more long-term. Then we went into real estate development, did that in Brazil, country I particularly liked at the time because I did a lot of traveling there and also kite surfing when I was much younger. And we did real estate development in Brazil, mainly in Sao Paulo. But we also went into the commodity space, and there we started actually investing in mining. We set up a platform with the backing of a large private equity fund in the US, who basically 90% of the capital came from these guys, but nevertheless 10% at the time were our private money, and this was quite a lot, which they asked. And we discovered at the time, next to other concessions we bought, but we discovered a big deposit of rare earths. Rare earths is a critical mineral. 11 years later, so finally we went into production. Very happy about that. There's a lot of up and downs in this business. Yeah, we are still doing that as an investment. But myself in 2016, I convinced my wife to come back to Spain. She's Spanish. She was not that eager to come back to Spain. For her, back to Spain, for me the first time, because I saw that the country actually recovered from its crisis, which was quite a long crisis, started 2007 already. But by 2014, 2015, it was already clear that the recovery is about to come. It was all about real estate at the time, because that was the most important sector here, which caused the problem in 2007, 2008. But like any market, they recover. As I said, I'm much more an economist, I read a lot of reports, articles, speak to a lot of people. I was convinced actually that Spain is the place to go, business-wise. So we came basically to Spain, but more because of business. So we entered the real estate market as a developer. I wanted to do much more in Madrid, but my wife, who knew Marbella, she wanted to be in Marbella, so we started here. The opportunities were good. We are still doing that as a family business. It's more my wife who's running that though. I started at the same time to do the same thing, real estate development and financing of projects in always residential in Germany. Managed it out of here. So basically I had to travel a lot, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who has got its base here in Marbella. I'm sure they can spend a lot of time here. Maybe they have a small team, but sometimes they have also business abroad. I'm one of those, so I had to travel a lot. Malaga airport is perfect, at least for European traveling. Yeah, I did that for a couple of years. I'm still doing that though, but like always, when the cycle ends, especially in real estate, you have to see it before it gets worse and have to get out, which we were able to do. This doesn't mean I didn't have any failures or wrong timing in life. Sometimes projects take much longer than you think. I brought these two examples, mining and real estate. It always takes longer than you think. It always needs more capital than you think. In a nutshell, what I did. Still continue to do so. I look at other things, normally more in the real estate space, but also in the commodity space. Commodity is an interesting sector. I can do it from here. It doesn't really matter where you sit, but Marbella is a good place. There's a lot of people who come through Marbella, lots of people, more and more, who live here, who give you ideas. Maybe you can do business together, sometimes not, but at least it's a good place to meet people. Why did we come then to Marbella? It was really more for business reasons, because we discovered actually the Spanish market could be interesting. And Marbella was a place that my wife already knew very well. And we decided, and that's probably interesting, not to go to Madrid, which I liked very much, business-wise and so on, to Marbella. Because she said Marbella is the perfect environment for us and our children to grow up. Because quality of life, security, we have the children close, it's not a big city, the infrastructure is okay. Schools are good, we find here lots of international schools, which certainly help, when you come from abroad. I met two founders of the pool before it even started here. And they told me about the idea. And I said, yeah, that's a great idea. I love this concept, they explained it well. I said, reserve me a place there, because this is exactly what I was looking for. Not to be on my own in an office. No communication with other people. I was looking for a place actually where I can join and meet other people. It's not just basically to make business with these same people. It's to get ideas. We never stop learning. And also maybe also correct our ideas, and that's why you have to communicate with people. And it's not always people who have a certain kind of vested interest in what you're doing or what you're just working on, but just give you an honest answer. And I think it's a perfect environment to do that. Yeah, what kind of advice I would give to entrepreneurs who think coming to Marbella, when it comes then to business, I think it's always important actually that you check your status. Tax-wise, it's important. It's not actually about cheating on taxes. It's about actually, maybe you can sometimes optimize something that you can do here in Spain. I think it's important. Don't miss that, because you have to make your decision. I'm not telling you now, because within the first 6 months. As an entrepreneur, I think it's also important that you can travel. Those who are doing business abroad, those who are doing business here in Spain, it's pretty easy. We have the train, we have good flight connections. And then make sure that also business-wise you meet interesting people. I didn't have that in the first couple of years. Marbella has changed the last couple of years. Maybe that's something worth mentioning. I would say since the COVID, or basically just before COVID, but COVID was a bit the kind of the turbocharger. Not only actually for lifestyle reasons and spending the whole day on the golf course, but really with their families, they settled here and started to do business. It's, for me personally, a much more interesting environment than before. That's definitely. So the last 4 years, I would say, for Marbella, like certainly also other places which are a bit similar, became much more interesting.